My name is Gijs. I'm from the Netherlands, where in Eindhoven I am teaching and doing research in the Department of History. I'm an historian of technology from upbringing and a literary historian, and my specialism is the history of mobility. And I'm currently writing my second monograph on the history of 20th century automobilism in the Western world. Well, my research here at the Rachel Carson Center is, of course, writing this book, and the proposal I sent in 1.5 years ago emphasized a couple of aspects of the history of 20th century automobilism that are also relevant for environmental history, and then especially space, sound, smog, and the senses. So what I'm trying to do is describing and analyzing how the automobile in the course of the 20th century in the Western world, in the North Atlantic world, became a kind of intermediary object, a sensor for people to perceive the environment. So to move in the environment, in nature, in a car, well, more or less was comparable to the way early films functioned. You know, the film and the car are related. They are objects and technologies that are more or less invented at the same time, and there are many parallels between the two. So that's what I'm trying to do in this book. I'm trying to describe how car drivers were more or less amateur filmmakers, how they learned to look around, to see the nature differently, using the windscreen, so to speak, as a kind of movie screen, and also describing how early filmmakers learned from the car to look at nature. In other words, whether you use the car or not, the car was very influential in the beginning of the 20th century in shaping the way we look at our surroundings. As sources, for instance, for this book, I do not only use the traditional sources like journals and archives, but also use extensively belletristic literature and other forms of artistic media, like films or pop songs in the later period. So what I'm trying to do is to use these media, the content and the shape and the form of these media, to learn more about how people drove cars, more than you can learn from the traditional sources. And one of the interesting results that I found for the earlier period is when you read the novels and the travel accounts of early either motorists or non-motorists, then it is remarkable how much violence and aggression is formulated in these early texts. So one of my hypotheses that I think I more or less confirmed is that early car use was very much related to a kind of male aggression. So the way especially men conquered nature was an aggressive way, and resembled the way Western civilizations conquered colonies. So there is a relationship between conquering colonies, conquering nature, all done through the car and in an aggressive way.